Hey there! If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. I'll say that again. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast. Oh, yep, with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Now it's time for the Big Bad Broadcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to welcome you to Bitchin Baby Boomers.
Hey, good afternoon, Bitchin Baby Boomer Army. And we've created an army, 1,600 strong on our Facebook page. It's given us a lot of views and a lot of love now on YouTube. So let me introduce you to the Long Island Clown College. Up on top, we got Mike Grief.
I'm ready to boom. Yeah.
We got the Mind Reader, Joe Stilkey.
Bitch, bitch, bitch.
And we got Craig Mitchell.
I'm bringing sexy back for a refund.
I would if I were you.
Before we start, I need to look into the magic mirror and see who we have out there today. Why, we have out there Kathy Genoa, Pam Borstein. I see Caroline Zabrowski. I see Brendan and Patty Hallahan. I see Ted St. John. And I see LV Rose. And oh my God, what is that? It's Lane's Merge taking off his clothes for a massage.
Oh! Lane.
You just turned off a gay guy.
Stay in your lane.
Information than I needed.
Stay in your lane.
Merge.
I like that.
So we had a great guest last week. We had Fred Klett. He brought us some interesting facts.
Oh, man. You know what, man? I'll tell you what. I still can't get over the fact that the man got he got monkeys for 18. What was it? 1890? What? Craig, you got that picture?
I do. Monkey.
I'm telling you, man. I'll tell you what. If I could get a monkey for $18.95, I would have like hundreds of them. I would have ordered like 100. I would have an army of monkeys. I mean, what's going to stop? Would that be like the Wizard of Oz? The only thing that could stop me would be like a little girl with a bucket of water.
Leave that one second.
Out a window.
Leave that 1 second. I just have to tell you, because this is all on the back of a comic book, which we'll show you in a minute. But see that live, bring that back up 1 second.
On the top,
see that size live pet seahorses, $1. Yeah. I ordered those when I was a kid because I thought it was going to be so amazing. They were so tiny, and it showed you how to make seawater out of like Morton salt and water, which is what they live in. Right. And it said actually on the thing, if your sea monkeys die, put them on your windowsill, let them dry out, and they will become your pets forever.
No, but wait,
seahorse.
But if
seahorses. You're right.
They were brine shrimp, right?
No, these were actual seahorses.
Oh, seahorses. Okay,
well,
so that was the.
You leave them like you remember forever.
Remember the sea monkeys?
Yeah.
Now, what I want to know is if you kept them and you kept feeding them, would they grow up to be like big shrimp? Could you eat them eventually? I mean, I can live forever off of my sea monkeys. What do we have tonight, honey? We're having sea monkey salad.
I saw a comic in Boston once who said, I've been feeding my sea monkeys meat for years. And he had a gallon jug with a gorilla head in it and water. He goes, and this is what it looked like. Hey, but we use a lot of great stuff on the back of those comic books.
Oh yeah. I love that stuff. Yeah, there's a back page right there. Whole bunch of stuff.
Look at the monster.
The monster. That was my favorite.
Yeah, it's a monster.
And I was a little kid. I must have been like in fourth grade or something like that. And I saw that picture, and it says the way they do the lettering. I mean, the write up is that 6 foot tall. Imagine coming into your room, seeing the Frankenstein monster reaching out for you, and then it says
put a bunch of those and put the monkeys inside of them.
And then it says, but then it says, made up with polyethylene. So I'm thinking, oh, it's going to come. And finally, this manila envelope shows up at my house. And I'm saying, it's the exact opposite of John's big box, little thing. I go, what's this? And it says, Monster Headquarters or whatever it is. And I'm just really upset. So I open it up, and polyethylene plastic is the plastic that they print bags on. So I got this 6 foot tall bed drawing and printing of Frankenstein. But to make matters even worse, it comes in 2 pieces, and you had to tape it together. And the pieces didn't even line up.
So you got Frankenstein garbage bags.
Yeah, that's it.
I said the other big thing in the back of the comic books were the X-ray glasses.
Oh yeah, those were cool.
Look at the look on that guy's face.
Oh yeah.
That guy is pervin if I ever saw anybody. And yeah, every little boy bought those because you wanted to see through a little girl's clothes.
No, not everybody. Gentlemen, look at Mike. You're going to need another hand. Sorry. Oh, Mr. Silky, we should talk. Me and you. I'm telling you.
I'll tell you, I was so inspired by those. I went to become an X-ray technician in real life. Do you know what they were? If anyone had ever ordered them, they were a piece of cardboard, and where the hole was, there was a feather. So when you look through them, it kind of made a shadow around everything that kind of looked like an X-ray. But they had about as much X-ray power as looking up a duck's ass.
Look at Craig. Craig, you look like the mole man. I'm coming up from that.
Those must be the deluxe models.
That's the deluxe model.
That's amazing.
Oh
yeah,
man!
So you used to sell those, right, Joe?
Yeah, I worked at a magic shop and we sold those. And so one day, this mother comes in with her child. The child's like 12, 13 years old, and he sees the X-ray specs. He goes, "Can I try those?" And the mother's going like, "Well, I said, no, sure, here." It's before anything. So I give the kid the things, puts it on, and he's like looking at his hand and stuff. And so the mother says, "Now these are $3 glasses." So the mother goes, "Do they really work?" I said, "Ma'am, they couldn't advertise it on the box if it wasn't real."
For $3, I better be able to see through something.
And back then they were only $1. You could put them all on your monkeys. Yeah. Super monkeys.
Oh my God! Imagine that. Imagine if my monkeys could see through stuff.
All right, I'm just going to leave you guys with one last thing because we can talk about comic book stuff forever. There was a comic book also thing that they had these glasses that you could see behind you and mirrors in them.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
show you a kid like cheating on his test, right? So picture this, a kid who's never had worn glasses in his life comes in with a pair of glasses like this big with big mirrors on them. The teacher has no idea what he's doing.
No clue. No clue.
It's crazy. But I'm just going to leave you with this last thought, right? And we got to pick up this comic book thing another time because there's so many things back there to talk about. But I was in the store the other day. I was in Macy's, so I was looking for a shirt. And I saw a Hawaiian shirt that was a 4X slim fit.
What's that for skinny fat bastards?
Pretty much, if you're a 4X, slim is not in your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Neither is fashion.
Well, just for perspective, this is a 5X car cover. Just let you know.
That's the bra off of a Camaro.
All right, well, let's get this show moving because I got to bring on a very, very funny guy, a dear friend. I've known him for years. We work cruise ships together, and he's quite a sensation in these condo circuit. I mean, they think he's like the comedy Tom Jones. They all love him. Your mother's seen him, right, Mike?
My mother has seen him more times than me. My mother has seen Sarge 3 times, and she's only seen me. Well, she came out to see me once, like 100 years ago. And
so let's get this going. We're happy to have him here. Let's have a round of applause for Sarge.
Hello. Yes. Hello.
Hey, Sarge.
The double X box. And I had for a number of years I had the X-ray contact lenses, I didn't get much sleep because I could see right through my fucking eyelids. Oh my God! But it was good because I saved a lot of money on installing cameras in all the toilets at Kennedy Airport. So all I had to do was sit in the next stall over, and I could just watch everything that was going on.
There you go.
You never have to ask your wife or anyone who ate my Oreos. You just look. Yes, you ate them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I never admit to Oreos. I never admit to that because I have a 12-year-old son. I have a 12-year-old son, which means any missing Oreos can be attributed to him. And I just shrug my shoulders and I go, I hate Oreos. First of all, they're not even real chocolate, and I have a whole thing built around that.
Well, Sarge, let me introduce you to the guys. I mean, I don't know where Bacho, but the guy with the mustache, the magic mustache, that's Joe Silke. He's a lifelong friend. He's a mind reader, so he probably knows what you're going to talk about. Sure. And we have Mike Grief over there, the Harley guy.
I know him.
I know Sarge for many years.
Oh, yeah.
We know each other for a long time.
Yeah. And Craig Mitchell. Do you know Craig? Craig's a comic also.
I don't know Craig, but I'm glad to make his acquaintance this way from what I'm hearing on the show.
Hey, Sarge, he'd always have your back, man. He'd always have your back.
Before today, I could say, I virtually don't even know the guy. Today, I could say, I virtually know him. And that's basically as far as it goes.
That's why we have Mike on the show for security.
Yes.
Well, I apologize to you guys. I don't take this as seriously as all of you, so I don't have a really, clever background. I don't have any, illustrative, items and trinkets from my past or any fancy background. Mike's got wings coming out of his ears. You've got surfboards that your knees are too creaky to use. Everybody's got all this shit behind them. And all I have is, I got a pool. I have a pool.
Hey, there you go.
I have a hole in my backyard where they're building my pool.
As a matter of fact, Mike's mom just went in to take a nice dip.
Good. I'm glad. Good, man. She likes hanging out with celebrities. She does love you,
though. She really does.
She does.
Well, she told me why she hasn't been to many of Mike's shows. She says it's too easy to get a seat.
Plus, I won't comp her.
All right. So let's get a little meat to this show. So, Sarge, you started off, right? You were a sports guy on the radio, right?
That was the job I was fired from immediately preceding the necessity to go into stand-up comedy, primarily because there was no company involved, no interview, no resume required. You just start showing up at dingy places with nobody there and start doing open mics. But yes, I was in sports radio for a number of years on Fox Sports Radio. I was one of the charter talents on Fox Sports Radio out of Los Angeles, Sherman Oaks. And, I had a 3-hour daily show, and it was nowhere near as wildly as entertaining as this is.
That's the fact.
How can that be?
It wasn't topic driven like this.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Sorry, when your camera wasn't working, it was more entertaining than this.
Plus there was only one host, and here you've just got all of this brain power coming together to make radio magic. And
we are magic. We're like Crosby, Stills, Nash. We're the super group.
I actually had the under on how long it would be before Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young came up. So I had the under.
He's the guest next week on the show. I have to promote him.
It's about the same amount of time as it takes for Sarah Silverman at the top of her comedy set to talk about her vajayjay. About the same. About 12 seconds. 12 seconds. It's John Ferrentino mentioning Graham Nash or Sarah Silverman talking about her mustachio best friend between her legs. So between the two of them.
Or one of us bringing up Preparation H because we are baby boomers.
this generation, the generation before us was the greatest generation. But yeah, I was in sports radio, and largely because I wanted to be a sportscaster. I started at the very bottom, sweeping floors. I was a lunch boy for Wide World of Sports. I ended up being a stage manager and an assistant. I did everything I could. I wanted to be talent. I wanted one of those yellow jackets. I wanted to be the guy,
You wanted to announce the Islander game. You got to do it. I always have you do the announcer for the Islander game. You're great at it.
I don't know if I wanted to be the Islanders announcer, but I wanted to be a sportscaster. And I was always behind the scenes. Every job I got was as an assistant, an associate producer. And finally, my last job in sports before I got the on-air job was at ESPN. I lived in Bristol, which is a very, very inspiring place to live. There was a Caldors and a Dunkin' Donuts before they had a drive-through window. And do you remember Caldors?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Caldors. Did you know Modell's is out of business in New York? There's no more Modell's. Got to go to Mo's. It's gone.
No. No more Jets paraphernalia.
That went out even before the pandemic, I think.
Yeah.
When Crazy Eddie's went out of business back in the 70s, I guess it was, Modell's moved into all of the Crazy Eddie spaces. Modell's is gone. It was very crushing to me. But in any event, I was living in Bristol, and they asked me where I saw myself in 5 years, a very corporate answer. And I said, on air, I'll be on the set of doing SportsCenter, as talent. And they said, okay, well, do you have your parking pass with you? And I said, yes. And they said, yeah, you can turn that in, and you can just clean out your locker, and you're done here. And I was done. So the decision was made for me. I called my best friend in New York, and I said, hey, how you doing? He said, good. What happened? I said, ESPN just told me that I was finished. He said, well, why don't you be a comedian? He said, that's pretty much all that's left. And
Here's to you, Mr. Comedian. Real men of genius.
So I drove 104 miles to New York, and my friend told me I could stay on his pull-out couch. And I started seeing Mike performing all over the place in all the most glamorous Al Martin comedy clubs. And I thought,
King of the Eagle Tavern.
The Eagle Tavern.
Or downtown Beirut or wherever those. Remember those places we used to play? Oh my God.
Well, the Eagle Tavern was the only time I ever performed there was for graduation from my Gabe Abelson comedy class.
Good old Gabe Abelson, yep.
Gabe Abelson and Lee Frank taught a stand-up comedy class. And the graduation ceremony was 5 minutes of dreadful, horrific, bad stand-up at the Eagle Tavern.
See, I took the class at the comic strip with a man named Rob Weinstein. So when we graduate, we got to play the comic strip.
I grew up with Rob Weinstein.
Did you?
I grew up
Great
with
guy.
him. He was from Great Neck. He was from my hometown. We actually went to Hebrew school together, which means we planted over 70,000 trees in Israel.
Hey, and by the way,
was that a Robert Klein? Was it a Robert Klein joke? We planted trees, and now there's snipers behind every tree or something.
Well, my thing was, here's the funny thing about that. My entire childhood, the only time my father, and I recently buried my dad. I recently buried my dad at the beach up to his neck at low tide, and my father would, and John will enjoy this specifically. I would ask my father for money. This is how cheap. Now I was from a very wealthy upper class suburb of New York City, but my father was the cheapest person there. And I would hear the ice cream truck. Remember the Mr. Softy truck?
Yeah.
And I said, Dad, can I have 50 cents, 75 cents? What do you need 75 cents for? I said, I want to get a bomb pop. So he'd say, from where? I said, I hear the ice cream music. The truck is coming, the ice cream truck. My father would say, he only plays the music when he's out of ice cream.
Oh.
So that's And so I asked my father for money to plant trees in Israel when I was going to Hebrew school, which was already a very funny thing because I was a one-man quota. I was the only almost black child at Hebrew school. It was almost like I was like a rescue. I was a fucking human rescue.
I can relate to that.
Like they had to have one guy there to represent the other lost tribes of Saudi Arabia. Some shit.
Hey, I'm the Jew that went to Catholic school, so I can relate to that, Sarge.
And you see how well he turned out.
Oh, let me tell you something. Mike has been through several iterations of himself, and I think this one right now is the best one ever in the history of Mike.
Well, God bless you, Sarge.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I think this Sarge is the best Sarge that's ever been too, man. I love you, buddy.
Are we done now?
Is this the,
Put the knife in. I know you got the knife waiting.
is this the end of the meeting? Do we have to show our pins now?
God grant me the serenity to accept that things like that have changed.
And the wisdom to know where to hide the bodies.
Hey, with the Jews, though, this is a Robert Klein bit. With the Jews, you have to be buried before sundown the next day. Remember Zoom, John? Remember Zoom right into the ground.
I'm telling you, I think people appreciate animals more than they do humans. I mean, it's like you make up all these stories, like for I'm sorry, and I am heartily sorry about your mom and your dad and all that stuff. But it's like you ever hear people when they lose an animal, it's like, oh, they're going over the Rainbow Bridge and this. It's like nobody ever makes up such a sweet thing for humans. They're like, either he was great, we'll miss him, or whatever. But there's no Rainbow Bridge. There's no Rainbow Bridge for us.
No.
Craig went over the Rainbow Bridge.
There's a rainbow bridge for us.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what's at the other side either.
They're never making the long, painful walk up a piss-stained stairway. It's always she's transitioning to a place where and it's like I can make jokes about it because I'm a comedian. You have to. What else are you going to do? I'm not a sorrow person. I'm not a tragedy person. I've been a good son. And at the end of the day, who gives a shit? I was adopted. So.
Well,
I never liked her. I never liked her.
My jaw just hit the ground, man.
When I take one look at Sarge and I go, and he says he's from an upper class neighborhood in Long Island, I go, he was adopted.
Oh, all right. Wait. He grew up with Rory Rosegarden.
Really? Then he was adopted.
Yeah, I was adopted. But this is the funny thing. I was born in I just turned 60 several days ago. John's birthday was the 9th, John? John?
Yeah,
I just turned 60 on June 1st. So I'm 6161 is my date of birth and my PIN code for all of my credit cards. So
hold on.
Thanks for that.
61.
So if you're watching out there, this got a lot more profitable a minute ago. But in the days when I was born, just think about this. This is why I had to be a comedian, you guys. And Craig will know what I'm talking about, and Mike knows what I'm talking about, John knows what I'm talking about. When I was born, my birth mother was an Orthodox Hasidic Jewish woman in Chicago, and she got pregnant by a black guy. But the story they told wasn't, she didn't have premarital sex with this black guy. Are you ready for this? The Orthodox Jewish family story about how she got pregnant was that she sat on a bench near a basketball court in Chicago without panties on.
Oh, my God. At least she didn't use the Christ story. God knocked me up.
Yeah,
it sounds like what you call it, GARP, TS GARP.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So she chooses at that point to flee from Chicago because she doesn't want anyone to know she's pregnant with a black man's child, let alone her very ultra religious family. So she flees to Miami Beach to have this baby, me, in this hospital in Miami Beach. Cut to New York, my parents are having a hard time adopting. So my mother calls her father and says, we're looking for a baby. Do you know anybody? And Jews have connections everywhere. So my grandfather said, do I know someone? My best friend in Miami runs the baby factory at Mount Sinai Hospital. He's the head of OBGYN, and he owes me a favor. So my mother said, what kind of favor? He said in 1947, he went for the interview for the job. He never came back. So for 14 years, I've been moving his Cadillac alternate side of the street parking in Brooklyn so he doesn't get a street sweeping ticket. So he says he owes me a baby. So he calls him up and he says to him, this is great. He says, Herman, it's Harry. Harry, Herman, how you doing? I need a baby. Do you got anything over there? He says, well, it's funny. A girl from Chicago just came in today. She's about to give birth any time now. No husband, no boyfriend. She looks healthy. She's from a good family. She's well educated. Come get it out of here. I'll do the paperwork. So my grandfather says, I'm on my way. So the guy says, the doctor says, you're coming now? Now, this is a Jewish thing. This isn't a non-Jewish people, Christians, Catholics, they never ask you where you are when you say you're coming over. Jews always want to know when you're coming over because maybe you're near food that they want you to bring. You know what I mean? So they'll say, we're out of tongue. Can you pick up a pound of tongue? Jews eat tongue. Can you pick up a tongue? We're out of tongue. So this doctor says to my grandpa, he says, where are you, Brooklyn? He says, I'm in Brooklyn. He says, do me a favor. Go to Ebbinger's Bakery on Fort Hamilton Parkway and bring me a chocolate babka, no nuts. I'll give you the money when you get here. My hand to God. He gets in a taxi. He goes over. He picks up a babka. He goes to LaGuardia, flies to Miami, right? He runs directly into the hospital, no security, because in those days there was no ISIS, there was no, right? Now they've got additional layers of security. There's an extra 3 or 4 elderly Jewish women eating hard candy at the front counter, which the Pentagon has indicated is a deterrent to terrorism. And elderly Jewish women eating butterscotch, and they blow themselves up in the parking structure instead. So he runs in, and there I am. I'm about to be born. He hands him the babka. And for those of you who are watching at home, the babka is a Russian cake that when you eat one piece of it, you don't really need to eat for another 3 or 4 months because it takes that long for it to break down in your system. So when people ask you, people say, are you hungry? No, I had babka in August. Yeah. I don't need anything.
August.
Yeah, they should have had some of that on the trail. I was literally traded for a babka. My grandfather handed him the babka. A few hours later, I was born. As I came out of this white woman's womb, the joke was, I think we left him in a little too long because I think he's burnt. And you can't make those jokes anymore.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
What a wonderful family history.
Can we go back to the last 3 pages of comic book ads? That was a much more.
Actually, what I was gonna say, if you really want to get depressed, Sarge, you're older than me.
Oh wait,
I'm not depressed.
Hold on, Sarge. Hold on. Yeah, you are Jewish. Okay, good.
Oh, X-ray glasses.
Did you ever order anything off the back of a comic book that you were very disappointed in?
No,
you were
as a matter of fact, no one was more pleased than me to not be included in that portion of the show at the top of the show. I was delighted to just let you guys go down that primrose path of just memorabilia and comic book lore. A very exciting way to kick the show off.
It is.
It was.
Fred Klett was on last week. Tell us about him and his 5 brothers chipped in $2 each to buy a monkey off the back of a comic book.
John, just as a producer, just a slight note. Try not to call back other comics jokes from other shows.
That wasn't a joke. It's a true story.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
That's why. And I forgot to tell you that there was a story in the paper about a guy who was coming in from Africa, and he had 18 monkeys smuggled in his pants and got caught at customs.
Yeah, but he wasn't really trying to smuggle the monkeys. Those for his own personal therapeutic use.
Where do you put 18 monkeys in your pants?
Yeah.
Wow. It depends
Guess you,
upon how
need a
the
lot
pants are.
of, guess you need a lot of ballroom. I don't know.
18. He was smuggling monkeys?
Yeah, in his pants, all the way from Africa. It's not like he was flying from Miami to Orlando.
Well, here's more jokes you can't tell today. Are you sure they were monkeys? Well, I'm black. I can make that joke. I can make it. See, that's what's gotten ridiculous about all of this. We used to be so much funnier when we could just, like, let fly. I mean, look what you guys are talking about. Shit in the back of comic books. I mean, there's so much. It's like panning for gold in someone's swimming pool. You know, we used to dig for gold. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy is smuggling monkeys from Africa. You know what I mean? And you can't talk about it. You can't talk about it because
It's the truth. We go out of our way to be as non-offensive as we can be because, you know, it's not like the truth is that we should just offend everyone because it's not like somebody's going to ruin our career. We have no careers. We're here. You know,
I have a career, but
you're the only one here with a career. John,
I'm sure. Well, by coming on the show, I was hoping I'd be sharing some of it with you. but apparently, Mike, you're not hungry. I'm still out there slugging it out. You're going to enjoy this. And John, this is I'm going to name drop the shit out of you now, John.
Okay.
So I get hired. Rory gets me a gig. The guy calls Rory and they hire me and they want me to go to Turks and Caicos.
Right.
And I said, what's over there? He says, a Jewish billionaire and his 25 friends are scuba diving for 2 weeks. And you got to do a show for them over there. So I said, Jewish people scuba diving? I said, Jewish people aren't known for their swimming acumen, as is evidenced by God even knows Jews don't swim. He parted the ocean so they can make a mistake back in the Bible.
That's right.
Only Mark Spitz has ever gone in the water and come out. You see, so Rory, I said, billionaire and they're scuba diving. I said, why are they own everything above the water now, and now they're going underwater to buy shit. They're shopping on the bottom of the ocean now. So wait. So I go there, and I do my show, and it goes really nicely. And all the meals were being prepared by like people like Bobby Flay. They brought him in to do dinner, and they had some Mexican guy come in to bust the tables. They brought him in from Mexico, and anyway. So, I mean, they wanted an authentic dining experience. So I do the show, and the next day I'm in a villa, and this lady starts coming in and putting things in the room that all say Usher on them. So I said, what is all this stuff? She goes, when you leave, Usher is coming in. Usher is the next act that's coming in tonight. She goes, it was really great. We had Beyonce the other night, and tomorrow we're having Usher. I said, wow, he's really, I could have gotten more money for this gig. So I'm in the pool, and a guy comes over and he says, I'm going to need you to get out of the pool. So I said, why? He goes, my boss needs complete privacy while he rehearses. So I said, your boss needs privacy? I said, well, no one told me. And turns out I'm in the pool, and I hear this music coming out from about 50 feet away, and I hear, you got me on my knees, Layla. I'm begging, baby, please. Fucking Clapton is there. So they had Usher, Clapton, Beyonce. Saturday night was Stevie Wonder with Jamie Foxx, and Sunday was Elton John. That was the lineup. And Wednesday was me.
You could have gotten more money. Not only could you, Rory did get more money. You didn't, but Rory did.
Well, I was the palate cleanser between Beyonce and Usher. They needed a beige.
You were the sorbet.
Yeah,
you were the lemon sorbet.
You're the can of coffee beans you smell between fragrances.
So I asked. I said, how did I get this gig? And he said, the guy saw your stuff on YouTube. He said to me, get this guy, whatever it takes. So don't think your career, if you're supposed to be found, no matter what it's about, even if you already know all the punchlines to John's jokes and tricks that don't work out, even if you know his act backwards, if you're supposed to be somewhere, you will. Like the sun is in the sky. How do we know it's supposed to be there? Because it is. We're all here together. How do we know we're supposed to be here? Because we are. And when someone finds you that way and you get booked for something, keep the possibilities alive, because you didn't spend your whole life being talented and being amusing and being dedicated and not be found. I mean, you will be found.
Well, now with all the DNA evidence and all that stuff they can do, I'm sure I will be.
Mike, you're still in LA, right? You're still in LA, right, Mike?
Yeah.
He's in LA.
Yeah. Unfortunately, well, as you know, it's hard to do. You can't do stand up in LA. There's nowhere that you can't make any money. That's why I was concentrating on the acting for the last 10 years, because you can go to the showcase clubs, make a whole $20 a set, you know what I mean? But you can't live off of it. So,
yeah.
Well, I got out of LA when I realized I was constantly flying home from my work. Like I was always flying back to LA. And it dawned on me one day while I was in that final approach to LAX, when they tell you to put your seats up and put the tray tables. And I used to get anxiety because I'm thinking to myself, okay, what do I have to do tomorrow to become relevant in LA? Because I'm coming from, Chicago, or I'm coming from Texas, or wherever I'm flying back from. I work there, but I live in Los Angeles. And I would think to myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Finally, I said to myself, you know what? I'm already happy. I don't have to get anything in order to be happy. I just need to allow myself to just be okay with me and who I am. I know this sounds very California, but that's when I moved. That's when I built a house here in Florida, a safe distance from John, because the last thing I want to do is, run into him at Publix.
And I told you in Florida we have that line. In Florida we have the Frost line and we have the Jewish line. Yeah. Like we have no bagels that we wouldn't even think about eating where I live. But once you get past the Boca line, then all the food gets good, right?
Well, Jupiter. It starts with Tiger.
Yeah, I guess a little bit higher, yeah.
Where Tiger had the first near fatal car accident in Jupiter. That's where the line begins. That's where, black people stop being involved in gun violence and rapes, and they start being involved in vehicular homicides with expensive luxury automobiles.
But see, you said knowing how you're a success. See, I'll know I'm a success if you, next time you're playing in my mother's development, if you will just actually say, hey, Eleanor Grief, I know your son, Mike Grief. And that will validate my life, because she doesn't believe me every time I say,
Where does she live? What's the name of her development?
Winmore.
Oh, I'll be there. I just December 4th, I'll be there.
Yeah. Oh, and she'll be in the audience. I guarantee it.
I'll bring her. I'm going to bring her on stage.
and put a sword through her neck.
She's 90. It'll take her about an hour to get up on the stage.
That's right.
He's going to put a sword through her neck.
She can bring the Jamaican lady that changes her diapers with her if she wants.
Yeah. I'm sure she will. Lady. She got two of them.
No, I'm telling you, you have to have either Jamaican or Haitian. If you've got a big budget, you hire Jamaicans. And if you have a lower budget, you hire Haitians. It's just what it is. Listen, these are all facts. I'm not making any statement about Haitians or Jamaicans. I mean, they're all wonderful people. Some of them are some of the most intelligent and wonderful people I've ever met. Some of them not so good. Some of those people aren't so good. But some of them, believe me, they're not sending us their best and their brightest. By the way, I'm looking for
and it's hard, too, when you have an aging parent, because when my dad was really sick and he wanted to stay in his house and I had to order, you have to hire healthcare workers to come into the house. So I tell this woman, I go, listen, my dad's got diabetes, and so you got to just be careful with sugar intake. So I go to check on him like the next day, and the entire garbage can is filled with pineapple rinds. And I go, what is this? And she goes, I checked out your father. He really needs more pineapple in his diet. And I go, pineapple is all sugar. She goes, pineapple will cure him. And I go, all right, it's time for you to go. Then I went another time, and a woman was having like a seance on the coffee table, and she was like contacting spirits. She had to leave. And then the third one, my dad says to her, she just wouldn't stop talking to him about his whole life. She goes, I need a history thing. And my dad goes, you asked me one more question, you're out that door. So she asked him another question. He threw her out. He pushed her out the door. And she goes, I need my shoes. He threw her shoes out, and he said, she goes, that's all you're going to say? And he says, no, I have one more thing. Goodbye and good riddance. And he just left her. She called me up crying. Oh, what do I do?
Well, so it doesn't sound like your family really needed the help. It just sounds like as a group, your family just enjoys putting black people out of jobs.
Oh my God.
Weren't black. They weren't black people.
Well, how good could they have been then? I wouldn't want a white person changing my diapers. It wouldn't feel right.
You couldn't afford a Haitian, John.
The white person was doing the seance.
When a Jamaican nurse's aide changes your diaper, that's service. When a white person does it, it's really weird porn.
Oh my God.
Speaking of old guy jokes, do you guys watch that show, that Michael Douglas show that
the Kaminsky Method?
Yes. Can you believe what Paul Reiser looks like on that show? Have you seen him?
I have to check out the next season. I've seen season 1.
Paul Reiser is Michael Douglas's daughter's boyfriend.
Right.
Okay.
But you can't tell it's Paul Reiser. He's heavy set with a
ball.
That's right. Yes, I didn't recognize him. Yes, you're right.
It's Reiser. It's bizarre.
Is it makeup or is what he looks like now?
I don't know. You might call him, John. You have his number from the second evening at the Improv you did in 1972.
I will tell you a story though. We were at Rob Bartlett's wedding, right?
Oh no, you've triggered a story, Sarge.
You loved it. I triggered a name drop. Anytime you do that, you'll get a name drop out of it.
Listen, we were at Rob Bartlett's wedding, and Eddie Murphy was there. And this is like when Reiser just had that movie Diner. Remember, that was like his big breakout movie. And are you going to eat? I think all he said was, "Are you going to eat those?" Right? That was his whole dialogue in the movie. And Eddie had just gotten Saturday Night Live, and everyone's just watching Eddie at the thing, going. Eddie thought he was like the biggest thing now. Reiser just walked in, and Eddie was just like, "I can't believe I'm not like the hot guy here now." It's so funny. He was like a kid, but he was like, and Reiser was pretty cool back then. I didn't really know him that well. That was that group before us of Seinfeld and Reiser. And
did I tell you about the only time I ever met Rodney Dangerfield?
No.
Oh, you're gonna love this. This is the best. So we were all Rodney Dangerfield fans, right? We all loved him. He was hilarious. Okay. But there was a portion of his life towards the end when he was, as they say in Yiddish parlance, he was pretty fucking fachotted. Like he was, okay. So I had a phase in my career where I was opening for a lot of music acts, and I was in Las Vegas. I wasn't there of my own volition, like Mike Greif. I was there opening for Paul Anka or something, or I was somewhere. And I was in the steam room at the hotel, and I usually go at the end of the day and then shave, I like to shave in the steam room. So on this particular occasion, I'm in the steam room, and I'm by myself in a towel, and the door swings open, and in walks Rodney. And I've never met Rodney. I only saw him at his club when I was waiting to go on. And even then, when I saw him, he was in a robe coming downstairs from the apartment.
White terry cloth vest. White terry cloth vest.
Terry cloth robe to come down and fill his mug with, whiskey or something. So anyway, I'm in the steam room, and I don't bother to say anything. I just sat there. And he's over there going, and he's rubbing his face, and he's making Rodney sounds,
Rodney sounds.
You're going to love this. So after a few minutes, I was very uncomfortable because there was no talk or anything. And I walked out and I went over to the sink, and that's where they have those free razors there. So I start shaving. So now he comes out of the steam room and he starts shaving. So he shaves, I shave. Now we walk over to the locker room part, and wouldn't you know it, there's a whole locker room in this grandiose casinos.
And he's right next to you, right?
Right next to me. So I look at my watch and I figured, I got time. I'll go sit down. I'll let him get dressed, and then I'll wait till he's done. And I go over there and I sit down. There's a nice bowl of apples, so I grab an apple, and I'm sitting there eating an apple, and I see him, and he opens his locker and takes out his pants, and he starts getting dressed. And I hear him muttering to himself, oh, fuck you too, so fuck you, pain in the air, fucking A, what's going on? So this is going on for about 5-10 minutes. I hear him muttering. So I went over there, and I looked down. He's so fucked up. He's got both legs in one pant hole of his underwear. And he can't, and his hand he doesn't have any finger control, so he can't pull them off. He's underwear cuffed himself. So, I said, do you need some help there? And he must have thought I was an attendant or something. I said, can I help you? So he goes, he turns right around. He goes, you're not a fag, are you? So I said, no, I'm not a fag. I said, I'm just trying to be, I'd like to be helpful if I can. He goes, yeah, help me over here. I got problems. I got big problems. So I said, okay. So I helped him down with his underwear, and I put his other leg through the hole, and he pulled him up. Okay, fine. Now I go back to my apple and my chair. I'm sitting there, and now another few minutes goes by, and I hear him muttering again. So I got up and I peeked around. He's done the same thing with his trousers. And because this is a baby boomer show, I say trousers. So he's put both of his feet into the pant leg of the same side of the pants. So I come over and I go, same problem again. Oh my goodness. And he goes, you're still not a fag. I said, I'm still not a fag. And I help him off with his pants, and then I help him put his pants on, and then he buttoned his shirt wrong, and he grabbed his jacket, and he walked out of the locker room, and that was it. That was my only experience with Rodney Dangerfield, confirming that I'm not a homosexual.
I thought you were going to say he tipped you at the end.
No.
Here you go, kid.
He just walked out.
That's an amazing... You saw the Dangerfield dick. Was it funny?
I will tell you that Dangerfield story like that. I was backstage once, and all he wears that robe with nothing underneath it. And every time he talks, he puts his leg up on something and has a hand towel that he puts over his package so you didn't have to see it hanging out. And he's like talking to you like that. Hey, let me tell you something, man. And then he picks up and he strategically walks, and then he does it with the other leg. I mean, it's horrifying.
Your story's much better, John.
No, it's horrifying. I know what you're talking about. It's horrifying. All he wants to do is be naked.
At least now I know why I never made it into his favor. Because when I met him, I said, "Hi, Mr. Dangerfield. I'm a fag." He didn't talk to me after
that. Well, I got space for you on this show.
I'll tell you. Yeah, are you Jamaican?
The funniest thing was, Sarge, you were a regular at Dangerfield. I was a regular. I remember going in, and Bobby was the funniest. Remember Maitre D' Bobby?
Yes.
Bobby was the greatest.
If he didn't like you, he would yell loud enough while you were on stage. He'd go, Mike, listen to this worthless sack of shit tied in the middle there.
I usually got the check spot after Nancy Redmond.
Nancy Redmond. I haven't heard that name in years.
You know what's so great about Bob? You know what's so great about Bobby? If he'd be at the desk and someone would walk in that he liked, he'd go, "Oh, good evening, how are you doing?" And someone would walk in, "Hey, how you? It's nice to see you." And then like Dan Sheehan would walk in, he'd go, "Oh shit!" Like right to his face. "Oh shit!"
There was no filter. He had no filter.
Well, let's just say this. It's a wonderful business, and let me just say this to all of you guys. You got out while the getting was good, I guess. Because the only people that can denigrate you now are people making your coffee at a drive-through window. So
We're coming
yeah,
back.
no.
We're gonna tour. We're gonna tour as the Bitchin Baby Boomers. We're coming back.
I love it. That's awesome. Just make sure John's someplace in the middle of the show because he can't carry the headline spot.
You know, you were laughing about surfboards that he can't use. You know, John just turned 71 and he still surfs. He still gets up on the board.
Yeah, but if
Believe
you
it or
notice,
not.
there's nothing on social media though. You don't want to see him surfing.
No.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff on social
No,
media.
because he's got the Dangerfield stuff. He's got it all hanging out the side of
I
the
will
bikini
send
bottom,
Greg a
probably.
picture
But
right now that he can post.
He's got all those scars. He's got all those surgery scars from all the botched surgeries he had back in
but his balls don't stink.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Mike,
Why not? Because
Mike, I told you not to say anything about that. Right?
Ball spray.
Oh, you have ball spray?
Yes.
Was that becoming a problem?
I think 3 of you use bald spray. I think.
Oh my God! Where did
I had
this?
to. It's a pun. It's a pun. I had to. It's in the contract.
Mitch,
Oh my gosh!
Mitch, you need to put a filter on this whole show. This show needs a filter.
Heavy editing.
I gotta go, but this has been one of the maybe 3,000 or 4,000 best times I've ever spent with a bunch of guys. I really
Yeah.
love you guys.
All right, love you too,
Thank you,
man.
Sarge.
Talk to you
Thanks
soon.
for having me.
Thank you,
I
man.
thought it
You
was
were great.
fun, man. So if you're watching a show and you want to see all of our shows, our past shows, you can go to our website, which is www.thebBBBradio.com. And we have everything there, every show. It's upgraded weekly. We have the present show there, or you can scroll down if you can't have to watch us. You can take us with us on the beach or whatever on a regular podcast. We're on multiple streaming mediums there. And you got to keep coming. Got to keep watching us.
Check us out on YouTube. And do me a favor. Hit the like button, subscribe, and make a comment. Say, hey, I love you guys. You guys are terrific. Or I hate you, and this is why I hate you, and I hope you all die. Something. Let us know that you're alive. You're out there. You're watching us. Thank you.
And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
There you go. So, hey, we'll see you all next week.
Tune in next week to more Bitchin Baby Boomers.